This is big breaking emergency news. The Biden administration and the Biden White House is now warning that we're going to see major cyber attacks inside the US, and they are also warning that US ports could get hit. They are worried that US ports could be shut down, and this could happen very soon. All right, they're also worried about US water supply systems, and we are actually seeing a water supply system that was taken offline in Texas. Right, this was just revealed to us that a water system in Texas has been hacked, and they have been able to disrupt critical services to this town in Texas. Right, so this stuff's going on, and the White House is warning that we could see even more of this very soon. Right, so let's dive into the details here really quick. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos a day, keeping you guys updated on these big urgent updates. All right, so you can see here, this is big news, guys. This just came out, and this is on the back end of all the stuff going on around the world right now. Right, all these wars breaking out, all these conflicts escalating, and now they're warning us we are going to see nationwide cyber attacks, and nationwide infrastructure is going to be targeted. It says Biden admin and U.S. ports prep for cyber attacks as nationwide infrastructure is targeted. This just came out today, Wednesday, April 17th, out of CNBC, and this is big. Right, so the Biden administration is warning we could see attacks to our ports and our water, and you need to be getting your tanks filled up. You need to fill up your gas tanks. You need to fill up your water tanks. You need to fill up some water bottles or some water jugs if you have anything like that. Some old water jugs. An old milk jug, I wouldn't recommend that for long term, but if you don't have anything, that's the best you got. You can work with it. I've done that before. All right, so get filled up, get stocked up right now, because the warning is going out, and the military is preparing for this. The National Guard is preparing for this. Everyone's getting ready for something big. All right, we're also seeing a nationwide ground stop was just implemented as well from the FAA for a quote glitch, another glitch, and it caused flights to be grounded. We'll get to that in just a second as well. But let's dive into the details here. All right, so you can see here it says U.S. physical infrastructure is increasingly the target of hacks, with Google's cybersecurity firm Mandiant releasing a report Wednesday teasing out links between Russian hackers and a January attack on a water filtration plant in a small Texas town. Right? It also says the nation's largest ports are also at risk, and the Biden administration cybersecurity officers and key port executives held a call on Wednesday to discuss cyber security issues, including the Chinese-made cranes that have received government scrutiny this year. Right? They're saying, quote, more needs to be done across the ports and supply chain, said Gene Soroka, executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, who noted that in 2023, the port stopped 750 million hacking attempts. That's almost unfathomable and hard to process, right? But you can see here, it says a top Biden cybersecurity official urged the nation's ports in a joint call on Wednesday to have their data encrypted, rapidly patch any vulnerabilities in critical systems, and have a well-trained cyber team as hacks targeting key U.S. infrastructure increase. Right, so this is big. They just held this talk on Wednesday, and the Biden administration is telling them, hey, you're probably going to see cyber attacks on major U.S. ports, and you need to get ready. And ports are everything. This keeps our supply chain flowing out, keeps the money coming in, and it also helps us, the supply chain coming in and money going out, right, for exports and imports. So this is big. This is critical for our supply chain. We could see things like fertilizer shut down. We could see things like automobiles shut down. All right, lots of critical infrastructure, oil shut down. We could see all these different imports that come into our country every single day wiped out if the ports are under lock. Right? You can see here it says Ann Neuberger, Deputy National Security Advisor for the Cyber and Emerging Technologies, cited President Biden signing in February an executive order to strengthen the cybersecurity of U.S. ports. And it says the nation's port system is the main port of entry for trade and employs 31 million people and generates over 5.4 trillion each year for the U.S. economy. All right, and Port of Los Angeles executive, he's saying more needs to be done across the ports and the supply chain. Right, so this is big. They know something is coming, and they are warning us that we could see this shutdown happen. Right, we also had a shutdown of the flights, we'll get to that in just a second, and water supplies in Texas and France and Poland. All right, check this out. It says that there were hackers that they're linking to Russia. All right, this is the official story. These cyber attacks are super shady, and there could be false flags with them, but they're saying this is from Russia, and it could be Russia as well. Russia does have advanced cyber capabilities. So does Iran, China. All these top countries have invested heavily in cyber capabilities. All right, you can see here, though, it says in January, the cyber army of Russia posted in its Telegram channel that it had manipulated systems that control water systems in several Texan towns and wastewater utility in a Polish village. All right, it says one such cyber attack in Muleshoe, Texas, resulted in hackers overflowing a water tower, sending thousands of gallons of water into the street in drain pipes. All right, it says 2 other Texas towns also detected malicious activity on their networks around the same time as the Muleshoe attack, CNN reports. All right, and it says in March, the same hacking group shared a different video claiming it had broken into a French hydroelectric power station and could manipulate water levels. All right, so another thing that's big with that too, especially a hydroelectric dam, essentially, that's essentially what they're talking about here, is that they could overflow the dam. If they can manipulate water levels, they could potentially allow overflows and cause massive flooding as well. That's a major risk if they get control of any of these dams, is they can open up the gates and flood out entire towns. All right, they already dumped out a water tower in Texas. All right, so this can happen, and it's happening all the time. In last November, there were multiple different cities and states across the country that had their water systems shut off as well, like Pennsylvania, Ohio, is happening all over the country. And you can also see here, this happened just today as well. Lots of stuff happening, guys. There's fifth generational warfare going on in the background. These strategies are being put in place right now. All right, it's not always just going to be tanks and soldiers. We are seeing the next wave of warfare right now. But you can see here, it says FAA also issues nationwide ground stop for all Alaskan airline flights. So this is big because Alaska Airlines is the flight company that had the door fly off. Do you remember that a couple months ago? Door flies off mid-flight. Mask falling down. Thank God there was nobody sitting in that spot. It was literally a miracle, because if somebody was sitting there, they would probably be sucked out or at least be messed up, right? Injuries. Who knows? We don't know what could have happened. Somebody literally could have been sucked out the door if they were sitting there right next to it. All right, but thankfully nobody was there. But this is the same airline. Now they're having a nationwide ground stop, and they're saying that it was due to a glitch from a software update. All right, so something's going on. We keep having all these glitches, all right, and they cause massive disruptions in our supply chain, in our transportation, all these things. This caused flights to be grounded for Alaska Airlines for most of the day, right? And you can also see here it says CNBC reported that the airline system that was used to calculate weight and balance for flights was not functioning correctly, right? So apparently they updated their system for the weight and balance of flights so they know exactly what they're dealing with here. And they're saying that system went offline and they had to update it or upgrade it. All right, so this could have been a cyber attack. This could have been an intrusion, all right? Because how many different things have we seen like this? Remember the ship, right? And by the way, that Alaska Airlines, the door flying off, it's now a criminal investigation. The FBI sent out letters just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, telling people that this was a criminal investigation now and they're looking into it, all right? So something's going on. There's some kind of sabotage happening, potentially. Maybe somebody sabotaged these systems. It's insane that it keeps happening to Alaska Airlines. What's going on? What's their hiring process? Is there a bunch of compromised people inside of Alaska Airlines right now? What's going on? What's their vetting process? There needs to be more advanced vetting for people that work in our airlines, because this is a national security risk. These airlines can be taken over, and these planes potentially remotely as well. That's potentially what we were dealing with this Francis Scott Key bridge crash incident. All right, so this is big that the Biden administration is warning of this, the White House is warning of this, and you need to be ready. You need to have your tanks filled up, gas tanks, water tanks, prepper pantry filled up, have food for your animals, all right, have an extra bag of pet food, have a few extra bags of chicken food for your chickens, have an extra bag of fertilizer for your garden, extra seeds, all right, because we are getting to the point where you're going to have to potentially rely on yourself if a situation like this happens. The government's not going to be able to help you and respond during a real emergency like this. They're not going to be able to actually help. All right, that's the one thing that doesn't click for a lot of people, is that when the government goes down, when the government is cyber attacked, when they're hacked, when their critical infrastructure is destroyed, right, then they're not going to be able to help you and respond to you. You're going to be on your own. So you need to have a generator. You need to be working on getting solar, all right? That's what we're working on in the next few months for our house. We really want to get solar, all right, we've been working on some homestead projects and some family projects, things like that, all right? We got some big stuff coming there. But in the next few months, we want to get solar as well, because these attacks are coming. Check out this attack too. I just remembered this. This just happened in the past 24 hours as well. Remember we were talking about yesterday how this U.S. Army manufacturing weapons plant caught fire and was shut down in Scranton. All right, crazy what's going on. Has to be. It's not a coincidence, all right? But another weapons plant in the UK just caught on fire too in the past 24 hours. You can't make this up. Let me show you guys this little video really quick of this report of this weapons plant that caught on fire in the UK on this within 24 hours of each other. But it's just a coincidence, right? You can see here, listen to this video really quick. What are the odds that this happens right after this other one catches fire? What are the odds?
Some breaking news from southeast Wales. We understand emergency response teams are attending the scene of an explosion at a munitions factory in Monmouthshire. Fire and rescue services were called at just after 10:30 this morning following reports of an incident at a site in the village of Glascourt belonging to the defence firm BAE Systems. It's understood a full investigation has been launched and an incident control post has been set up. We will keep across this incident throughout the afternoon and bring you more on this as we get it.
All right, so you heard that. artillery shell factory explodes. What are the odds in South Wales that this happens at the same time? And by the way, this factory in Scranton, Biden is visiting Scranton right now too. You can't make this stuff up. It cannot be a coincidence. And I'm not saying that he's related to this or he did something, all right? But it's all weird. He's in Scranton, and then there's a giant fire at a Scranton artillery shell factory, and then there's another one in the UK as well, right? So this isn't a coincidence. It seems like these attacks are already happening, right? And they're getting ready for a big one on US ports. You're going to see the entire supply chain could be shut down. They're worried that these cranes, which 90% of them have been manufactured in China, and they've been rushing to replace all of them, right? Because they inspected them. They had the Coast Guard inspect them a few months ago, and they determined that they are at risk, and a lot of these cranes could be taken over remotely and shut down. This actually happened in Japan a few months ago, and I think Australia as well. This happened a few months ago as well. And you can see right here, it says in July 2023, the port of Nagoya, Japan's largest port, was shut down by a ransomware attack that affected the loading and unloading of imported and exported parts. It says the attack caused a system glitch that delayed work for more than 2 days. It says the port reopened in the afternoon of July 6th, with some cargo terminals restarting later in the day. All right, so their port was shut down for 2 days, the largest port in Japan, and it could go on even longer if they're able to take over these cranes. This also happened in Australia just last year in November. All right, you can see here it says last week a serious cyber attack forced a major port operator in Australia to shut down operations across the continent. DP World Australia manages half of all the goods that flow into the country at numerous ports, including Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and Fremantle. All right, so this shut down half of all the ports across the country in Australia. This was only 6 months ago. Not even. This was 5 months ago, or maybe 6 months ago now, in Australia. And they're worried that this is coming to the United States as well. All right, so make sure you guys are stocked up. Make sure you guys have your prepper pantry ready to go. Get a 20-pound bag of rice. All right, that's enough calories to sustain you, one person, for almost 2 weeks, just for pure calories. It's not going to get you all your nutrients. You need things like, you need protein, you need canned meats, canned vegetables, canned fruits as well to survive. But if you need to have cheap preps, this is what we do. We have a ton of rice, we have a ton of canned goods, we have a ton of water, we have a ton of animals, we have a ton of eggs, right? We have a ton of stored packaged stuff too, all right? And this is our preps. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be the $500 storable food thing. You guys have never seen me push that. I've never pushed anything like that before. I've never sold anything like that. I'm not against that, but you guys know me. I've never really sold you guys on anything, any specific product. I just tell you generally to prep, and that's what we do too, because that's what we do. We just get rice, beans, tuna, Vienna sausages, right? We just get a bunch of stuff like that, and that's what's in our prepper pantry, right? So thank you guys. Please hit it up for me down there. It helps to get these warnings out. People need to know the White House is getting ready for attacks on our water supply and attacks on our ports. We're potentially seeing attacks on our airlines already. Every single critical infrastructure in the United States is extremely vulnerable right now, and it doesn't feel like we're in a good position at all. So get prepared. Hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.